Hello out there. It's Alex Will 64 coming through with the Anime Ghost Files file number 1, which we are going to be dealing with today, the spirituality of Yu Yu Hakusho. Yu Yu Hakusho is an anime that came out in the early 90s. One of my favorite anime. You'll probably see a lot of videos on Yu Yu Hakusho where the whoever made the video, whoever's hosting the video or is the narrator in the video or speaking about it, they usually say the same thing, that Yu Yu Hakusho is their favorite anime, and there's reasons for that. You know what I'm saying? To me personally, when I watch this whole Yu Yu Hakusho thing, it doesn't feel like I'm watching an anime. Like, it feels like it's real life to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, it for me, it doesn't really focus on some of the cartoonish aspects that you get from anime, especially later anime. Doesn't really focus on that because the focus is really on the story. You know what I'm saying? The story should be the strongest element of any type of media that is telling a story. Nowadays you have in Hollywood and Netflix and all these different streaming services where they're creating shows where the focus is too much on the effects. You know what I mean? The special effects. You know what I'm saying? And then also the whole propaganda aspect that is prioritized over story. See, thing with Yu Yu Hakusho, it's one of those anime where the story is near excellence. You know what I'm saying? Even for those people that want to, express some sort of, hatred or some sort of grievance for, the fourth saga, because this type of show is divided into 4 sagas. So the fourth saga, which is the Three Kings saga, a lot of people, they don't really like it that much, or they don't think it's as good as the previous 2 sagas, which is the Dark Tournament saga, with Toguro, and the Chapter Black saga, which is Shinobu Sensui. Yeah, so this show, it came out in the early 90s. You know what I'm saying? It's based on a manga that came out, written by Yoshihiro Togashi. People already know that. Um, like I said, it's one of my favorite shows. There's so many different aspects we are going to cover. So this isn't going to be the only Ghost File, because the anime Ghost File, the Ghost File part of my channel, that phrase is actually lifted straight from the phrase Yu Yu Hakusho, which means there's different interpretations. There's Ghost Files, Poltergeist Files, Poltergeist Report. There's even a standalone movie, Yu Yu Hakusho movie, apart from the show, which is called Poltergeist Report. Some that we will cover later on this channel. But today we are going to be focusing on the spirituality of this show. And we're also going to touch on spirituality in other shows that really have that element. But in Yu Yu Hakusho, I could definitely say that it's not just, it's using the spirituality. It's not about just you cultivating it through meditation, or, you're trying to be a more peaceful person, or, you're trying to ascend to the heavens. Nah, in this show it uses the spirituality, becomes like a source of power that can be used against your opponent or to complete some sort of task. I'm pretty sure those of you who have watched this show numerous times, like I had, like, you can tell, like, it's not just, even though that element is in there of meditation and developing your chi and whatever, there's still, again, it's used practically as if you were to put bullets into a gun and shoot it. Obviously, the most famous move in this show is Yusuke Urameshi, who's the main character, his signature move, which is Spirit Gun, where he does this and he can shoot spiritual energy into blasts, and he can destroy or take down an opponent. You know what I'm saying? Now, the reason to get more deeper or more depthical into this topic is because I know that this has some real world application or real world basis. Now, it may be over animated or it may have some fantastical elements because this is a show that's dealing with, fantasy and, sci-fi and all that type of stuff. But definitely there is some real world correspondence to this. Now, I have some things pulled up here on my computer where we can kind of explore this a little bit. So first, I want to get into the understanding of energy itself, because I was talking about spirit energy, and also if we get into the etymology, because I love getting into the etymology of words. You know what I'm saying? Because that'll give you the original intent behind the word before it, started to change definitions or go into, it started to mean something other than what it was originally intended to mean. So pulling up the etymology, Reiki, which is Reiki, and the reason we're using that word Reiki is because that's really kind of like the Japanese root word for spirit wave. So in the show, you have Yusuke Urameshi, who is told by the spirit ruler or the spirit manager. I like to call him a manager because the ruler would be his father, King Enma, but Ko-Enma, who is the infant toddler looking John. You know what I'm saying? He's like the kind of like Yusuke's boss throughout the show, like his manager, like his chief. You know what I'm saying? As if you were working at like a police department or something like that. Koenma is like the manager and chief in charge. So he's the one that kind of alerts Yusuke to the fact that he can use his energy, his spirit energy, to and use it in an offensive manner, like he can use it to attack. You know what I'm saying? And at the beginning of the show, Yusuke can only use this spirit gun technique only once a day because he hasn't developed or cultivated his energy or his power to be able to use it multiple times a day. So it's just him getting started. You know what I'm saying? And by the time we end the show, he can shoot multiple blasts. He can even use spirit shotgun where he can shoot like 18 different shots at once. You know what I'm saying? Some he learned from Genkai, and Genkai we're about to get into now. Um, so the spirit wave, we're dealing with Yu Yu Hakusho fandom.com, which is kind of like the Wikipedia page for Yu Yu Hakusho, very popular page. And it says that the spirit wave is in Japanese. If you say it in English, it would be Reikodan or Reikodan, which is translated as spirit light bullet. Now, the root of this is the Reiko or the Reiki or Reiko. So that is translated, if we do the etymology on that, you have Rei, which means spirit or soul, and Ki, which is the Chi, life force Ki. And a lot of you that know about spirituality, you know, a lot of things like Tai Chi, the word Chi is in that term, Tai Chi. That's a energy source. It's like prana in the Hindu thing where you do certain breathing exercises, certain spiritual techniques for you to build up that energy, that chi, that ki. You know what I'm saying? You're building it up so that now as you master your technique of mastering it and using it, now you can use it however the way that saying however the technique is fashioned. So for example, now I would be able to shoot, you know what I'm saying, um, spirit energy, right? So Ray, spirit, soul, and then Ki, which is Chi, life force, spiritual power, energy. But what I want to focus on here is the term energy itself, because a lot of people don't really, again, etymology is your best friend when it comes to words, terminology, the things you say, what you use to refer to things or events or phenomena or abstract principles. What is energy? Let's do the etymology on that. So the etymology is energy, meaning, uh, it's a Greek term. It goes back to ancient Greek, energeia or energia, which it's summed up to mean activity. But let's break down the word because the en in energy is a prefix. So the word energy is a compound term, which starts with en, which is in as opposed to out, and then ergon, work. So if you really look at what the etymology is revealing to you, it's inner work. Energy is simply inner work. So it's activity going on within something. Now, when we talk about in, what are we talking about in this context? We're talking about what's going on within you, first and foremost, your inner activity. Now, there are degrees and levels to this. For example, we can just stop at the activity between your physical cells and your blood and your microscopic um, activity going on in your biology of your body. We can stop there. And those of you that are just into the mechanical, physical aspects of existence, you would stop there. You wouldn't go beyond or see things beyond just that physical, biological makeup of things. That's where you stop. But that's not where you can end. You can go beyond that. Now, again, if you're just a materialist, you don't think that there's anything beyond what you can physically see, touch, smell, taste, and hear, or whatever, then this wouldn't apply to you. Like, you would even sit here and call this stuff a pseudoscience because it's not considered empirical evidence to suggest that anything exists beyond the physical, right? But then there is metaphysical understanding of this stuff, and that's where energy actually shines, or where it actually, what I'm saying, comes to life and it becomes a real thing. Because now we can go beyond the biology and get into mind. There is is it Aristotle that came up, getting into philosophy right quick. Let me see if it's Aristotle who said this. One second. How you feeling? This is my first video dealing with, my anime ghost files. Am I doing a good job? Let me know in the comments, man. Yeah, so Aristotle is known for a quote of saying that the energy of the mind is the essence of life. Now, for those of you that, you want to be intellectual, you want to be philosophical, this whole Aristotle guy, this ancient Greek philosopher, is a very important figure within the whole field of philosophy. And again, let me say this, the statement one more time. The energy of the mind is the essence of life. So for me, I am a practicing alchemist myself. Mind is it is the quintessential element. Now, I know you've heard of 5 elements, and you know the 4 elements, which is earth, and we going by density up to the most volatile. Um, Earth, water, air, fire, right? Some of you know about Avatar, The Last Airbender. You know about, like, this whole 4 element thing isn't exclusive to Yu Yu Hakusho or anything like that, or even anime for that matter. It's something that's kind of, as you get into alchemy or any type of esoteric science, you always come across these 4 elements. But the 5th element, which is known as the quintessence, or quints meaning 5, and essence, being the source of something. So the 5th source, or the quintessential element, and then using that term quintessence or quintessential in just modern day informal speech, saying you're saying that something is the quintessential thing of this thing, right? So to create lemonade, the quintessential things of the lemonade is the lemons and the water, obviously. And then with a little level of sugar or whatever else you're going to put in the lemonade. So we dealing with the quintessence here, which is mind itself from an alchemical perspective, me being a practicing alchemist. So this is what energy is. It's inner work. So we're dealing with the workings of the mind itself. Now, when we say mind, you may stop at just it being something about neurology or brain. You think the mind is centered in the brain and it doesn't go beyond the brain. Well, let me take you on a journey. So, for example, if any of you know about chakras, or the chakra system, again, can be considered a pseudoscience by those who don't go beyond empirical evidence. Um, Everywhere you have a chakra along anywhere in your body can be considered a mind. And you see how when they deal with chakras, they often align chakras with the endocrine system, like any type of endocrine gland within your body, right? So every endocrine part, or endocrine gland, excuse me, that's in your body can be considered a mind. Starting with your own gonads or your sexual organs, all the way up to your pineal gland, which is said to be in the center of your brain, your throat, your heart, your abdomen, or your stomach. These are all. This can be those places can be considered brains. They have a mind of their own. The fact that you don't consciously operate any of these organs in your body means that they have their own mind. It is of an own mind. Did you just think the brain would just be your mind? It's like, no, your sexual organs have their own thinking. Have you ever wanted, like, your body felt that you wanted to have sex with somebody, but your brain or your thinking mind was like, no, I'm not going to do that. So now you have a conflicting within the complete mind of your entire existence, right? Because you want to have sex with the person, but your thinking mind is like, no, it's not a good idea, it's wrong. And this is kind of like the source of dilemma within, the human existence. Like they say that your carnal desires, like you wanting money or you wanting to have sex with people or you wanting to fight all the time, like that's part of your lower nature, and your higher nature is you having like a more intellectual, more spiritual thinking, like your ability to see things beyond the physical. That's your higher mind. But understanding the whole of things, meaning the totality, this is all mind. It's just different levels of that mind. So if you look at the chakra thing again, that's you looking at different circles or different spheres of your own mentality or mind. But going beyond the physical, mind is beyond physical. So the actual energy of mind has to precede any type of physical phenomenon that you are observing or you are sensing or bringing into process. So with that established, and saying it one more time with Aristotle, the energy of the mind is the essence of life. So if we kind of go back to this whole Reiki thing, Reiki would definitely have to be the essence of mind. It would have to be the energy of mind itself. Now, obviously, when we go in the show, Yusuke isn't considered to be, the intellectual of the group or whatever. That's more kind of, Karama, you know what I'm saying? He's more of the intellectual. But again, mind is not limited to your intellectual pursuits and your intellectual acumen. Mind is all. So if we go into the whole universal principles of the universe, right? Or the hermetic principles that you find in alchemy, the very first universal principle is the law of mentalism, which says all is mind, the universe is mental. So that means even your emotions, even your physical body, even your spirit body, your mental body, your causal body, because this whole chakra thing and spiritual thing, they deal with these different bodies, and we never know which. There's so many. You can have 7 different bodies. You can have 5, 4. It depends on who you're talking to and what source you're dealing with. You deal with these different um, categorizations of mind or whatever. But Yusuke has the ability to shoot this spirit wave from his finger. So what I'm saying is, it's really all going back to mind. That's what it really goes back to. Whether you would consider Yusuke intellectual or not, it goes back to, for example, his emotional energy, for example. Because in this the Dark Tournament, when he's facing off against younger Toguro in that final battle, he goes through this whole process of trying to, tap into a deeper or stronger part of himself, but it's this emotional barrier that keeps him from tapping into it. Now, Genkai, who is his master in this whole Reiki spirit wave thing, she kind of comes back from the afterworld or the afterlife to possess the body of Pooh. And like I said, this is going to be spoilers throughout all these files because I'm assuming you watching this, you've already seen the show. So she possesses the body of Pooh, and through Pooh, she tells Toguro that you probably need to kill one of Yusuke's friends in order to get Yusuke to tap into his true potential. So that's when Toguro and Kuwabara kind of set up this ruse that Kuwabara is now dead. Which then that's where Yusuke powers up and becomes even stronger than ever because now his emotion he's tapped into his emotional self. This is all mind when it comes to the the whole alchemical thing and the thing about Aristotle. It's all mind. That's what energy is. Now on the flip side, you have something that I like to call exergy, which would be the diametric opposite of energy. Because in ergon or energy is inner work. So now you have the opposite, which is exergy, which is outer work. So exergy would be everything phenomenally happening, which is anything that you can observe physically. So for example, this video and you seeing me move and talk and speak, that would be exergy. You moving, you seeing your fingers, you driving a car, eating, having sex, you know what I'm saying, watching TV, running, fighting, whatever you're doing physically, that would be considered exergy. Whenever you see the clouds moving or you see rain coming down, you see the sunlight, you see cars going past you on the street, or you know what I'm saying, the ocean wave, whatever physical thing or physical phenomena is happening, that would be exergy. But the mentality behind it, whether you are conscious of what's happening physically, would be the energy. So there's this energy exergy duality, you know what I'm saying? That is really kind of like the essence of existence itself. It's the metaphysical and the physical aligned and corresponding with each other. So getting back to Reiki itself, one second. So Reiki is that spirit energy or that mind power, you know what I'm saying? Not talking about intellectual mind. Because you like, I don't know if you've ever seen this before where they said there's other types of intelligences beyond just your mental intelligence. Like you have physical intelligence, artistic intelligence, emotional intelligence, social intelligence. Like some of you now, because of, you know, the advent or the invention of internet and computers, some of you, your social intelligence has gone down. Like you don't know how to interact with other people because you're just in front of a computer all day. Like even you'll even see people that you interact with on the internet but won't even say nothing to them physically. You'll see them out and shopping and you won't even socialize with them. But as soon as you get back on Facebook or, you know, Instagram or YouTube or whatever, oh, it's back and forth discussion all day, all night. You know what I'm saying? So, you know what I'm saying? We're talking about intelligences. So for the Reiki thing, I would definitely say that Yusuke had to develop his emotional intelligence to be able to reach that level of Reiki or power or spirit wave. You know what I'm saying? He would have to have done that. It's not based on your thinking intelligence. It's more about your emotions. Because that was really what was keeping him from reaching his potential in the whole Dark Tournament arc. Now we do know in one of these episodes during the Dark Tournament that once we find out that the masked fighter is Genkai, um, she, you know, and we know that Genkai has been training Yusuke up until the point where, you know, the Dark Tournament starts. You know, she decides that she's going to give Yusuke or pass over to him the spirit orb, which is a culmination or a center of her spirit wave technique, which that's why they had that whole tournament at Genkai's property, you know what I'm saying, to fight for that ability to be taught and then eventually receive the spirit wave from her. So this is the time where he receives it from her, Yusuke, right? So he goes through this initiation process where she passes over the orb to him and he absorbs it within his own flesh and body. And he goes through that really grueling, painful, even it can kill him, that process that he goes through in that cave. That's a real life thing, to be honest with you. Now, again, I don't know how far your imagination stretches or how much you are willing to allow things beyond physical laws to happen. But for me and with my experience, I know that that's a real world thing of passing something on that level of existence, like something energetic, over to someone else. And that could have killed Yusuke, right? Like his life was on the line of accepting that orb. But he survives. Obviously, he was going to survive that. But the thing about it is this is where whenever you're dealing with that type of thing, that's why you're tasked with purifying yourself whenever you deal with this type of spirituality. This isn't pop spirituality or something where you look on just you watch a couple YouTube videos and now you think you're a master Reiki person or a master spiritualist. No, you had to go through certain processes of purification and preparation for that. Like for example, some of you know about the whole Kundalini thing, where you're doing certain meditations and certain processes to awaken this serpent-like energy at the base of your spine, and you're trying to work it up your spiritual spine, like your spine, like you're going up that spine, and then dealing with the whole what's it called, Shishunma, Pinga, and what's it called? Let me look that up. So it's basically like these channels within your body, according to this whole thing about meditation and spirituality and chakras, where you can awaken your Kundalini energy. Yeah, the Ida and Pingala. There we go. That's what I was trying to say. So you're doing certain techniques to work or to awaken that Kundalini dragon snake energy at the base of your spine, and you're trying to work it up your spine and have it hit your crown chakra. This is all chakra stuff, right? And it's supposed to come out. So when you see any pictures dealing with, or any photos dealing with Shiva or Krishna, where they're sitting in a Indian style and you see these snakes behind them, or if you go to the whole ancient Egypt thing, where you see that they have, the pharaohs have a crown and there's a cobra sticking out of their forehead. That is a reference to the whole Kundalini spiritual activity. You have to be purified for that, because with the Kundalini, what we know about it is that it amplifies whatever features or attributes in your personality or in your mind. So, for example, if you're someone who is depressed or whatever, this energy that you're trying to activate and try to, say, and bring online, it can amplify your depression. So now you become even more depressed than which you were before. It's amplifying your emotion. So you got to prepare for that. You have to go through a process of purification where you deal with your emotional baggage or your traumas, so that they don't get amplified, and then it has you engaging in behaviors that are going to be destructive to you and other people in the long run. And that's your Reiki. So understanding that, I know there are women that love Reiki and they think that they're doing Reiki, but you have to understand that energy, and if you're talking energy, you're talking about inner work. So the innermost essence of an object or a thing is where its energy is going to be, and that connects directly to mind, according to this alchemical principles of mentality or mentalism. Now, like I said, I can bring this to a close. That I don't want these file videos to be too long. But then you have your demon or daemon energy. So like in Yu Yu Hakusho series, you know, especially like Hiei and Kurama, like these are beings that are either half human and demon, or they are all completely demon, right? Like Hiei and other demon characters that you see on the show. So they even have their own inner working, and I'd say their energy would be a lot more animalistic or more vicious than regular human energy, right? Because we're dealing with demons or whatever. But it doesn't have to be that way. Because when we talk about demons, demon does not mean that you have a lack of morality or that you are amoral. Demon would be more of your species in this sense, especially with Yu Yu Hakusho. It's your species. Your species does not directly determine your morality. So you can be a demon or daemon, which is a even older term, spelled Daemon instead of just Demon, daemon, or daimon, which is Daimon. See, these are older concepts than your Christianity inspired demon. So in Christianity, in that religion, demon is considered to be like an evil spirit, but that's not the original meaning of that term. It's actually just a species or a spirit being or a spirit entity. The spirit entity himself or herself or itself can decide whether it's going to be, uphold morals or not be moral at all. It's just a species, just like a human. There are humans that are immoral and humans that uphold morality. Same thing. And then sacred energy. So we know that Shinobu Sensui has a sacred energy. And then we also find out that while Yusuke is fighting in the demon tournament so that they can determine who's going to rule over the demon world, he comes out with his own version of the sacred energy. Now, when you're talking about things that are sacred, you got to be talking about things that are divinely ordered. They're in some sort of divine, they have some sort of divine, what's the word I'm looking for? Divine favor. So if you are not in the favor of that divine energy, there's no way you can use it, manipulate it, cultivate it, or anything of that nature. So we know that since we had to be, he had to be someone who was doing some sort of divine will. So when you align yourself with some sort of divine will or some sort of spiritual will, you can then take part in the energy or the power that is situated there. And it would be restricted to anyone who's not in that path or divine order. So that's what I would consider the sacred energy to be. So that means you have to reach a state of mind where you understand that, this is the way that, dealing with Tao, you know what I'm saying? Or Tao or Tao, the way of things. So if you're trying to go up against the way of the, how things are supposed to go, then there's no way you can really kind of tap into that sacred power, because that sacred power or energy does not favor things going up against its current or its direction. So if you're in tune and aligned in that direction, then you would have, stake or some sort of, what can we say? Some sort of, what's the word I'm looking for? Is the words just, when you're trying to make a video off the spot, the words just escape you. But let's just stick with, when you're in that divine favor, that's when that energy is, you can access it. But as long as you are out of order or misaligned in your, your path in life, you'll never have the ability to tap into it or get into it or be able to use it. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I wanted to speak about in this file, this anime ghost file, is dealing with the energy of, Yu Yu Hakusho and the different characters and how they deal with their own levels of power or energy. And obviously, like within Yu Yu Hakusho, just like you have in Dragonball Z, they have a power system where, or they have a ranking system from, what did they start with? They went all the way, what was the power system? And did they go all the way down to D or F? Let me know in the comments. Like, I think it started with D and F, and then it goes all the way up to S, which is your S class demons or power levels. You know what I'm saying? And again, to me, if you look at that from a realistic perspective, that would be anyone who is cultivating that. They're doing certain practices to cultivate their mind. Because again, if you're not cultivated in that, there are things that you will not have access to within yourself that other people actually do. So if I'm cultivating my power, cultivating my energy, I can do things you cannot do. I have understandings about the existence of this thing that you don't, based on you not cultivating that. So if you talk about one of the goals of spirituality is making the unconscious conscious. So what did I mention earlier in this this discussion is that you don't really even control certain parts of your own physical body. Do you consciously control where the hair grows on your body and how long it's going to grow? Do you consciously control that? Do you consciously control your heartbeat? Do you consciously control whether you're going to have cancer tomorrow or the onset of cancer or not? Do you control that? Do you control your hormones? Like, for example, when you became like, I don't know, 12, 11, 13 years old, did you control your puberty? Like, can you consciously um, upstart or jumpstart your puberty? Because if so, why didn't you jumpstart your puberty at an earlier age than 13, 12, 11? Why didn't you jumpstart it at 4? Or if you had the control over your puberty stage, why like can you stave it off or stop it until a certain time? Like why not wait till age 18 to go through that puberty? Like again, these are things like you're not consciously controlling, like your breathing. That's something you don't even consciously control. And you wasn't even consciously controlling it before I said anything about it just now. But this is the start of where you can consciously control your breathing. Now, the concept is if you can do that, then what else about your involuntary physical functions can you control? And then going beyond that, going beyond physical, can you control things that aren't physical? So the more control you can gain, or the more you can make the unconscious, involuntary operations of your existence more conscious, that's where you can cultivate your spiritual energy. So hopefully you understand also the concept again of energy and exergy. Energy being more dealing more with the mind and things that are not physical, and then exergies which you can observe. You know, me moving my phone across the screen, like that would be considered exergy. So we seek to penetrate beyond the exergy to get into the energy of things. You know what I'm saying? Which is, you know, most likely going to be invisible or inaudible to your physical senses until you develop yourself that way. So again, thank you for watching this. Like I said, we're going to go, you know, deeper into or more depthically into, you know, the whole Yu Yu Hakusho show and get into those concepts that we see in the show and kind of, you know, dissect them, see if how they correlate to things in real life. And again, share this video with people that don't want to, that go beyond the entertainment value of these anime. That's what we're doing over here in Anime Ghost Files. We're not dealing with surface, superficial level things. I know there's plenty of videos on Yu Yu Hakusho, like YouTubers reviewing the show, them, you know, saying which arc of theirs was the better one. Like, was it Chapter Black or was it Dark Tournament? You have videos where they trash or, you know, they praise the Three Kings saga. You know what I'm saying? All those, I've watched all those. But now this is my, you know, niche right here where we're going to deal with this stuff more spiritually on the occult side of things, esoterically, and so on and so forth. So thank you for watching. Be sure to subscribe. Turn that notification bell on so we can keep these files coming and going.